Hello guys, welcome to today's lesson. In this discussion, we're just going to do a continuation of the paper that we've started. So remember, we started the 2012 paper, mathematics paper 2. Okay, so we just do a continuation of that paper in this video. Please support the channel by liking the video and following the channel. We're trying to grow to at least 1K followers. Okay. All right, so question 8 says, remember this is JC mathematics, okay? This is JC mathematics. The coordinates, question 8 says, the coordinates of point A are such that 3, 7 is the coordinate for A, and those of point B are 5, 2, okay? Calculate the length of the line segment AB. How do we calculate that? So you have to remember the formula that we use. It says D is equals to the square root of x2 minus x1, all of the whatever the difference you find there, you square it, okay, plus y2 minus y1, and then whatever difference you get there, you raise it to the power of 2. Okay, so remember, coordinates are always in the form of x comma y. Okay, x comma y. So now, referring to what we have there in the question, we treat the coordinates there for point A as x1 y1, then this is going to be x2 y2. With that in mind, let's substitute into our formula. Remember, you write down the formula, you substitute into the formula, and then you work out the answer. Okay, so you don't skip steps. Okay, you don't skip steps, so it's very important. Okay, so our x2 is going to be what? Is going to be 5. Okay, 5 minus x1. X1 is 3 squared, okay, plus y2 is what? Y2 is going to be 2 minus y1. Y1 is going to be a 7, okay, squared. All right, so this is going to be, so 5 minus 3, that's a 2. 2 squared, that's 4, okay, plus 2 minus 7, that's negative 5. Negative 5 squared, that is going to be what? That is going to be 25. 25 plus 4, that's 29. So we take the square root of 29, which is going to be equals to 5.39. Okay, 5.39 units. Okay, units. In case maybe this distance was in centimeters or whatever. So this is the answer there. All right. So I want us to try to understand what happened here. Okay, what happened here. For us to understand that, maybe let's borrow. What was this? Yeah, we can just borrow the pages at the end there to work on the problem, or to understand this from. I don't think we have space for that. I'll just try to find somewhere where we can work out this. Okay, so the way you're supposed to think about this is to apply your Pythagorean theorem. Okay, you can apply that to see how you arrive at this very long formula here. Okay, so remember, when you have a Cartesian plane like this, or when you have a grid like this, and then we try to plot these two coordinates that we have there. Okay, let's try to plot those two coordinates that we have there. So when you go to, excuse me, when you go to 3, 7, so 3 will be somewhere, let's just somewhere here, then 7 will be somewhere up there. Okay, so that point is going to be there. And then 5, 2, 5 is going to be somewhere there, and then 2 is going to be somewhere there. Okay, so in a way, your segment line is going to look something like that. Okay, now we are to find the distance, this distance between us, between these 2 points. Okay, but what do we know? We know that if you were to make a rectangle out of these, okay, no, I mean a triangle. I'm recording this thing at night, so my brain is a bit I'm a bit tired, so It's running away from me. So let's just try to focus. Okay, now when you look at it from this perspective, you can understand that, okay, I'm looking at a right angled triangle here. Okay, so if we apply the Pythagoras theorem, c squared is equals to let me write the traditional version of it before I make subject to the formula. So a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. So ab are the minor sides, and then c is the longest side, okay, the hypotenuse. So c will be this guy here. Okay, c will be that guy there. Okay, so why am I drawing this length here? It's because we can actually find those lengths. Okay, because this point's coordinate is what? Remember, the first point is 3,7. Okay, 3,7, and this one here is 5,2. It's 5,2. Okay, so we know that from here, this point, we know that on the x-axis that's a 3, and then here it's what? It's a 5. Okay, it's a 5, and then on the other side we look at the y-axis. We know that from the top part there we have a 7, the bottom part there we have what? We have a 2. Okay, now the difference between a 7 and a 2 is what? It's a 5. Okay, then the difference between a 3 and a 5 is a 2. So in other words, this length here, okay, this length this side is going to be this 5, and then the length at the bottom there is going to be a 2. Where does that lead us? That leads us to coming here. Remember, it's a right angle triangle, so that means we can actually find this length here, the longest length, by applying this formula here. By applying this formula, we're going to look for c. Okay, we have b, we have a, so we're going to look for c. So we're going to say make c subject to the formula. To do that, we simply take the square root of both sides. Okay, like that. So we know that let me use this. So we take the square root. Okay, therefore c can be found by taking the square root of a squared plus b squared. Okay, so with that in mind, let's just label these two. We're going to call this one our a, that's going to be our b. Okay, so that's the a, that's the b. Okay, so the square root of a, what is a? A is 2, so 2 squared is going to be 4 plus b, that's 5 squared is going to be 25, giving us the square root of 29. Okay, which is what we found on the thing there. Okay, so this is just to highlight to you that whenever you're doing maths, you have to think of all the possible ways of solving something. Okay, it's not just a fixed, remember the formula, use the formula. Why are you using the formula? You have to understand where everything is coming from. Okay, so by understanding this from the graph, you can see that, oh, that's where they are getting the formula. And then next time, if you have forgot, you don't need to cram this long formula. You can just generate this setup, and then you solve for your question. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove this. All right, so sorry for taking a long time on the detour there, trying to explain an alternative way of understanding this question here. Okay, we continue with our questions. We'll try to make it snappy so that we don't take a lot of time. Okay, factorize x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, how do we do that? Remember, we say AC and then B here. Okay, remember, in a quadratic expression, this is an expression, not a formula, because we don't have the equal sign. Okay, this is not equated to anything. So this is A, this is B, this is C. Okay, so our A is equals to 1, the coefficient. Okay, the coefficient there. Then B is equals to -3, C is equals to 2. Okay, so we're saying that if you multiply AC, what do you get? A is 1, and then C is 2, so you get a 2. Okay, and then B is -3. So we're going to look for two numbers that when you multiply them, they give you this guy, and then when you add them, they give you -3. What are those two numbers that when you multiply them, they will give you +2, but when you add them, they will give you -3. So okay, so we know that to get a 2, you can multiply 1 times a 2. Okay, so those are the only numbers that you can do. Now we just need to alternate the negatives in such a way that when you add these two numbers, we get -3. We know that if they are both negatives, they will give you a +2 when you multiply them. What about when you add them? When you add them, it's going to be -1 plus -2. What do we get? We get -3, because -1 plus minus this becomes a negative. Okay, so it's the same as -1 minus 2, so that gives us -3. Okay, now with that in mind, we know that the two numbers are -1 and a -2. So therefore, to factorize this, maybe we shouldn't have erased that. Okay, this part here. Okay, because it's very important in leading us towards the answer. Okay, therefore this can be factorized by saying x minus 1, x minus 2. So that is our answer there. So this is that quadratic expression factorized. Okay, factorized. Remember, we're not solving it, we are factorizing it. All right, let's continue. Make q subject of the formula. So there is our equation. P is equals to 2q squared plus 3t. Okay, plus 3t. Okay, how do we solve that? All right, so remember, we want to isolate everything from this right hand side of this equation in such a way that we only remain with q, not q squared, just q. Okay, just q. So now for us to do that, we have to start by something that is a bit far away from the q. So we're going to start with the addition of 3t to 2q squared. Okay, so we're going to say minus 3t both sides. Whatever you do on the left side, you also do it on the right side, or whatever you do on the right side, you also do it on the left side. Okay, so we subtract 3t from both sides. P minus 3t is equals to 2q squared. Okay, 2q squared. Now what do we do next? Now we know that we have to remove the 2, you have to remove the square. So we go for the 2 first. Okay, so we divide by 2 both sides. So remember, 2 is multiplying the q squared. Okay, so the opposite of multiplication is going to be what? To be division, so that we can eliminate. The opposite of addition is subtraction, which is what we did in the first step there. Okay, okay, divided by 2 both sides. Okay, then p minus 3t is equals to q squared, this side, divided by 2. Now we have to get rid of the squared there. Okay, or q raised to the power 2. So for us to do that, we take the root of that. Okay, so we're going to put a square root on that side. Okay, put a square root on both sides. Okay, remember, this square root is going to be the square root of everything on the left side. Okay, so the square root cancels the 2. Therefore, q is going to be equal to the square root of p minus 3t over 2. So that is our final answer there. That is our final answer. This is the final answer. Okay, let's continue. It takes 4 people 4 hours. It takes 5 people 4 hours to clean a hall. How many hours will it take for 8 people to clean the hall if they each clean at the same rate? Okay, so if you have the same work rate for men, then we can say that in scenario 1, okay, we have scenario 1, we know that the rate of work is equals to the rate of work in scenario 2. Okay, so they are equal. Therefore, we can equate the men work rate of the first group to the second group. So you're just going to simply say 5 multiplied by 4 is equals to 8 people multiplied by we are looking for what? We are looking for time. Okay, so we'll just say t, and then we solve for t divided by 8 divided by 8. Therefore t is equals to, so 5 times 4, that's going to be what? 5 times 4, that's going to be 20, and then divided by 8, that's going to be 2.5. 2.5. Okay, so 20 divided by 8, that gives us 2.5. okay, 2.5 hours as written there. Okay, remember 5 people, it took them 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours, and then 8 people we don't know. Okay, 8 people we don't know. So remember, the also the other thing that should highlight whatever is happening here is that when you have 5 people, you had 4 hours. Okay, now you've increased the number of people to 8. What do we expect? We expect for the working hours to go down. Okay, because you have more people, so you will cover more ground in a short period of time compared to when you have less people. Okay, all right, let's continue. A tank had 5,000 liters of water. Some 12.5, 1/2 is a half, okay, percent of the water was used for irrigation. How many liters of water were used for irrigation? Okay, so simple stuff. Okay, so basically we're going to find 12.5% of this. Okay, so instead of writing it as 12 and 1/2, you can just write it as 12.5. okay, 12.5 over percent means over 100. Okay, times 5,000. You just punch that into your calculator. No need to start doing it manually. Okay, remember you're working against this time, and also you're working against finishing all the questions. Okay, so it's time and finishing everything. All right, so this gives us approximately let me just punch that into the calculator. I thought I had it all worked out here. All right, 12.5 times 5,000, we get that, divided by 100. 625. Okay, we get 625 liters. Okay, how many liters of water were used? Okay, 625 liters. Okay, that is the answer there. Next question says express 3 over x plus 2 over x plus 1 as a single fraction. Okay, remember these can be interpreted in the same way as you having a fraction like this. Okay, so you're just going to work it out like if you had something like that. Okay, you just go back to the basics of doing fractions. Okay, so what is the first step that we're going to do there? The first step is that we're going to look for the lowest common multiple of what? Of our denominators there, the x and the x plus 1. Okay, so in this instance there isn't really 1, so what you do is you take both of them, multiplying each other as your common denominator. Okay, so you just go like x bracket x x plus 1. Okay, that is going to be the common denominator there. All right, and then we start doing the working. Okay, so we're just going to say x into x bracket x plus 1. Okay, so we are saying that what is x bracket x plus 1 divided by x? Remember, this cancels that. Okay, this cancels that, and then whatever answer you get, you multiply it with this, with that numerator there. Okay, you multiply it with that numerator there. So let's go over it one more time. So we're going to say this denominator divided by x. So x cancels x, and then we're left with what? With this guy, x plus, we're left with x plus 1. So what do? We go ahead and multiply that by 3. So 3 times x plus 1, close the bracket, and then we write this operation there, plus we do the same thing on the other side. We're going to say x plus 1 divided by x plus 1. This cancels that, and then we're left with x, and then we say x times that numerator there. Okay, x times that numerator there. So x times 2, that's 2x. Okay, just do it once. Okay, and then from there we start expanding that. Okay, we work out everything. So we just distribute this. So 3 times x, that's 3x, plus 3 times 1, that's a 3, plus 2x all over this guy here at the bottom, x plus 1. Are we done? No, we're not done, because we have to simplify. You have an x term here, you have an x term, so you can combine those two. Okay, so when you combine that, it becomes 3x plus 2x, that's what? That's 5x plus 3 all over our denominator there, x plus 1. Okay, the next question 14 says, when 2 coins are tossed, there are 4 possible outcomes. One of the outcomes is a head from the first coin and a tail from the second coin. What are the other 3 possible outcomes? Okay, the other possible outcomes are that, remember, let's just write all the possible. So the one that we have there on the statement is that you can have head from the first coin and then tail. So you can have something like this. Okay, so let's write the ones that will be the. You can have tail from both coins. You can have head from both coins, and then you can have the opposite of this. Okay, so instead of getting head from the first coin, you get tail from the first coin. Okay, so coin. So that's going to tail head. Okay, the opposite of that. So the answer is going to be this 3 here. Okay, the blue one, remember, is already stated in the statement there. Okay, B says, what is the probability that when the 2 coins are tossed, they will show a tail each? Remember, probability is simply the possibility, okay, the possibility over all probable, all possible possibilities. Okay, all possible possibilities. Okay, so what possibility are we looking at? The possibility of getting tail. Okay, of getting tail. How many times are we going to get tail from there? We're going to get it 1 time. Okay, out of all the possibilities, we're going to get tail 1 time. Okay, so we get it only 1 time. How many possible possibilities are there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we have 4 possible possibilities. So it's going to be this one chance out of 4 possible possibilities. So that is going to be our answer, 1 over 4. So this is just the explanation, so that if you are trailing behind when it comes to probability, you can use that to try to understand probability. Okay, so I think for this discussion we'll stop here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, like the video, and follow the account. Okay, thank you guys for your support. Bye bye.